Paid compensation for chief executives of several Fortune 500 companies has risen dramatically over the last 5 years. A report from the Wall Street Journal found dozens of CEOs from S&P 500 companies are now making at least $50 million a year. What's the reason? It's partly linked to the so-called Musk effect. A 2018 pay package awarded to Tesla boss Elon Musk drove his gains last year to $1.4 billion. It's opened the door for other CEOs to secure high-paying deals as well. Theo Francis authored that piece. He joins me now. He's a special writer for the Wall Street Journal covering corporate news and executive compensation. Theo, thanks for your time. Talk about this Musk effect and the impact it's having.
Elon Musk wasn't really the first person to get these giant pay packages, but he definitely made a splash in 2018 when, Tesla basically said, we're going to pay him pay that we now consider worth $2 billion and up, but it could be worth much more. And in fact, over time, as Tesla has done well, we've seen that happen. He's made tens of billions of dollars in stock options. That pay package got thrown out by a court in January in Delaware, but it still set the tone. And since then, we've seen a lot more of these sort of swing for the fences or moonshot pay packages, they're sometimes called. So we've seen a lot more of them since then.
This is the package from Musk that basically said that he signed. And I mean, he was taking a risk, right? He's saying, like, listen, if this company grows in size by 10 or the market cap by 10 times, then I get this money. And it did, because Tesla was doing well.
Yeah, he took a risk. The company took a risk. It had a lot of zeros after it, but in the end, it paid off. And not all companies do that. We have examples of companies that, in fact, it didn't work out. The CEO ended up losing the entire stock award. So that can happen as well. All of it comes down to what the performance conditions are, right? Is it just a matter of sticking around until you get the pay package? Usually with these kinds of arrangements, it's not. Usually with these, there are performance conditions. Right. Sometimes say they're not really all that ambitious. Companies say they are.
I guess that's my question is, are more CEOs now opting for these incentivized packages where they assume some risk?
Well, they assume the risk of not getting the compensation that they could get, right? So they're not necessarily giving anything up if they don't, if it doesn't pan out, unlike other shareholders who may have bought in years ago and risk losing a lot of money if the company doesn't do well. At the same time, companies are taking risks that maybe their pay falls to zero. These swing for the fences packages usually are all or nothing, or a lot or nothing. They don't tend to pay out on mediocre performance. So many people express outrage over some of these salaries, especially when a CEO is being paid a ton of money and is doing a really bad job. But it doesn't seem to be changing. Why is that? It depends who you ask. If you ask critics of executive pay, they're going to tell you that it's crony capitalism, right? That this is people just kind of lining each other's pockets. They travel in the same social circles, et cetera. On the other hand, if you talk to companies and you talk to boards, they will tell you that this is about competition for executive talent, right? And so if you want the best executives, you've got to pay more than your competitors, than the other guy. And, one of these, I don't know which it is, but I will tell you that in my 20-some years of covering executive pay has not gone down for more than very brief periods. Pay has basically been on an upward roller coaster.
Yeah, it just keeps inflating. And as you know, there's members of Congress, as they have before, continue trying to come up with some new ideas to push legislation into cap CEO pay. Have those efforts gone anywhere?
I don't think we can say at this point. I think a lot depends on the political will that you see in Congress. If you see some more scandals, if you see really a lot of public interest kind of, collecting behind a real criticism of executive pay, that might happen. We saw something like that in 2008 in the financial crisis. There were some, limits and restrictions put on the pay of banks that had been bailed out. But you really don't see much outside of that. You see some kind of one-size-fits-all approaches, like changing the taxation on pay in an attempt to get companies to ratchet it down, but that has not worked.
So where does the Musk package and legally, where does that all stand right now?
It's actually a good question. It's a little bit in limbo. The judge said this pay package was not valid, said it should be rescinded. At the same time, Tesla said these stock options are still outstanding and exercisable as of the end of March. They said that at the end of April, a couple months after the court opinions. So, a lot depends on what happens with an appeal. Tesla has said it's going to appeal. I don't believe they have yet, but I don't think the judgment has even been entered into the record formally. So we're kind of in this in-between period.
Theo, it was a really interesting article. You should tell the Journal that the Times is going to wants to pay you $10 million to cover executive compensation, and that it's a talent thing. You know what I mean?
I'll take 5. If you know people at the Times, I'll take 5.
There you go. You just take 5. You can create your own market. We're trying to help you create that market right now. Nice job in the article, and we really appreciate your time tonight. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right.